Our next speaker is from Belgaum. He is architect Shreyas Patil. Shreyas Patil Architects emerges as an independent force, reshaping architectural horizons from the heart of Belgaum, India. With a remarkable 5-year journey, the studio harmonizes its origins with the tapestry of its creations. Influenced by Mangalore's rich traditions and Belgaum's contemporary ethos, the practice endeavors to weave a tapestry between traditional architectural values and modern pragmatism. Engaged in charitable projects and educational pursuits, Shreyas Patil Architects radiates a commitment beyond design. The philosophy intertwines contemporary forms with climate responsive strategies, respecting the site, materials, and user experience. Crafted through meticulous physical models, the designs resonate with spatial dialogues infused with vibrant colors, dynamic light interplays, and a youthful energy. In the fluid landscape of architecture, Shreyas Patil Architects focuses on cultivating a distinctive design language that propels them toward a unique and evolving creative identity. Requesting Shreyas to please come up and share your journey with us.
Good evening, everyone. Today, I stand before you with a heart full of gratitude and appreciation. Opportunities like these kind of are pathways that lead young architects shape their practice. And today, we find ourselves on a new threshold. It is with immense joy that I thank Girish sir and Team Road for this memorable opportunity. Shreyas Patil Architects is evolving as an independent practice, single-handedly transforming an architectural practice out of a Tier 2 city, Belgaum. The studio is now in its 5th year of practice. 6 years ago, before we actually established our studio, the discussion of renovating my uncle's farmhouse, the Desur house, at Belgaum, ironically began here in Pune. At first, we would like to present 3 of our farmhouse projects. The drive to these farmlands from the city takes you through a series of villages in Karnataka and Maharashtra, casting impressions of rural village settlements that have a strong rural material palette and simplicity in the architectural style, bringing a sense of rootedness and humbleness in the lifestyle, a contrast to the city life. The clients strongly wish to have a slice of this rural palette for their weekend getaways, and we as architects had our contemporarized take on it. The Desur house. The site, buffered by arecanut trees and sugarcane fields, harbors a weekend home that grows between what existed on the site. No trees were cut to accommodate the build. A part of the new design, a part of the new design has sprung out of the plinth and walls of an existing old farmhouse that was already existing at the site and then was partly demolished to set in a new design language. Though the overall floor plan is choreographed in pure geometric spaces, the intent is to achieve a non-linear movement for the user. A set of rectangle floor plates are positioned as dining and living pavilions under a single roof form on either sides of an existing mango tree. A bar counter and a swing protrude out of the central beam, creating divisions between the living and the dining. All of this is mirrored in the black basalt pool. A series of rectangle parallel walls are juxtaposed to form small courtyards that act as wide thresholds between the living areas and the bedroom areas. The occupants are transferred into a more restful region of the built form, which holds the bed, bath, and the toilet areas. Yet, this shift retains connections with the outdoors, as one can directly step out from every built space. The bedrooms have more defined corners in contrast to the less contained planning concept of the living spaces, giving qualities of privacy and security. The sudden change of spatial quality between the bedrooms and the courtyards is arbitrated by a screen passageway. All of this portion of the built form is built on the plinth of the old house. Lastly, the kitchen block is designed with its independent filler slab. Placed in isolation, it has a community character than a pure domestic-driven kitchen. The kitchen has a direct dialogue with a courtyard garden in the front and a kitchen garden at the rear. Inspired from vernacular homes, it aims to recall this through colors, textures, materials, and spatial qualities. The wire-cut bricks, unplastered concrete filler slabs, kadapa flooring, black and yellow oxide treatments give it a vernacular home-like feel. The black basalt swimming pool is influenced by the basalt wells and ghats, vernacular to the architecture of Deccan Plateau. Next, we have the Terni house. Like all village homes of this region, this piece of built form is basically divided into three parts. I won't get into the detailed plans. It's more of a narrative. One, dedicated to the daytime activities such as lounging, eating, cooking, and entertaining. A second space flanking along the swimming pool holds the bath and the restrooms. Lastly, an elevated space positioned right across these spaces holds a space for a good night's sleep. Unlike a typical village home sheltered under a single gable roof, each of this space is sheltered by its own independent gable roof. Thus, the achieved image of the roof's silhouette reminds one the neighboring village settlements. These three units are spaced apart from each other such that the cantilevered gable ends of each roof slope down into the buffer areas that form softscapes and hardscape courts. The plinths and roofs of these three built spaces cascade down step by step towards the east, allowing all the spaces to enjoy the view of the swimming pool and the farmlands across, adding advantages of blocking the harsh south and west glare and directing the users towards more softer light of the north and the east. The impact of this place was to set a different pace for its user, where they could get absorbed with the calmness and openness of the farm life. The immediate farms across this built space changed the character seasonally from being barren lands to being tall gardens of sugarcane fields. Next, we have the Tulsigiri house. This is located around 20 kilometers from Bagalkot. Nestled quietly amongst fields of sugarcane, this Bagalkot farmhouse draws inspiration from courtyard homes of North Karnataka. No stranger to its surroundings, this contemporary piece of architecture appears rooted comfortably in its place. A selection of warm colors and a style philosophy which bows to that of contemporary lines along with vernacular material palettes makes this farmhouse rather functional. The floor plan is developed with basic principles of Vastu. The house is fortified within the four corners of the built form, with a swimming pool taking the center stage under the central open to sky courtyard. As with the rest of the farmhouse, the roofs and the walls are a nod to the local environment. Earthen clay roof pot tiles are unique in most contexts, but here it is as beautiful as it is common. Homage to the villages surrounding these pot tiles undergo a process of natural charning that results in each pot tile having a distinct color from being grey, hazel, soot, sand. These four roofs individually peak at different heights, mimicking the architecture of the neighborhood and creating a feel of a community, as the roofs of a nearby village would. As for the walls, they are simply plastered white to mimic the rural lime plaster stucco. The upper half of the periphery wall were dressed in numerous vertical placed slabs of kadapa, each at a degree of 45. This not only builds the character of the house, but also adds a method of ventilation while also adding a layer of privacy. Further, this material is carried into most of the outdoor flooring. The same kadapa has been used, leather finished and laid out in a herringbone pattern. Shade spaces lead into each other effortlessly, encouraging a journey through the farmhouse, all while soaking into the glimpses of the swimming pool. References to South Indian royalty are seen in the interior tiling. Rich jade green shaded Athangudi tiles, which we got specially made from Athangudi in Tamil Nadu, are used for the shared spaces as well as the private spaces. Yet another key characteristic of the farmhouse is the use of random rubble masonry through parts of the exterior compound wall, and this has also been brought into the property to complement the backsplash wall of the jacuzzi and the feature staircase wall. These heavy stones were sourced locally, tying a tighter knot with the house and its surrounding. All things considered, this Bagalkot farmhouse encompasses all that is required to make a beautiful home, with the architecture that's in line with the client's first and foremost demand, an ode to the courtyard homes of the South, which we as architects have delivered by crafting a midway between contemporary and vernacular schools of thought, with the design through choice of materials, forms, and spatial qualities. In the quietude of tall grass stands solace the Tulsigiri house. Next, almost about 2 years ago, we came across a client in Bangalore who not only had have us give a proposal for his residential design, but also got us another client, both in the neighborhood of Indiranagar, Bangalore. With no residential projects ever conceived by us, for all good reasons, the clients decided to hire us. These two residences were incepted and completed at the same time. The alter ego of both the clients had one rule in common: no element of design between the two houses should be the same. So we fondly call these two houses the fraternal twins. House Ananta. Locked within its vastness and exalting bulk, soft brutalism calls to cubic architecture. This is House Ananta, a mass of laborious thought and inclusive design. Every aspect of this home has been created to maximize the interplay between light, forms, and pockets of green, a testament to the progress of garden-friendly residential design. An assembly of cubes is organized in cantilevers and recesses that makes up the elevation of the residence. This give and take of exposed concrete, warm teak accents, and lush green foliage on the facades creates a captivating dialogue between the built environment and the nature. The elevation almost narrates the metaphor of a stretched arm out to the park ahead. In fact, the client specifically bought this site because it faced a park ahead. And it was a 40-60 site, and his the main idea behind building this house was he actually has a house in the next lane of this new house, but that house didn't have gardens. And it was this new house was also 40-60, but again he wants a lot of gardens. So we had no other space because he had a list of royal programs that needed to be fitted into the built form. So we had pockets of green that cascade all over the elevation of the house. These leafy pockets soften the sharp geometry of the building. The volumes are either finished in neo-cement concrete, painted white, or teak fenestrations. The facade calls for its visitor to stand and stare, a moment's pause before entrance. I won't get into the detail of all the floor plans, but then we'll just quickly brush through them. The house is built on a site measuring 40 feet by 60 feet, with amenities of a modern bungalow. The stilt floor accommodates the car parks, servant quarters, and a home office. An arrangement of dog-leg staircase and a mechanical lift connects the house vertically. The raised ground floor accommodates the living, dining kitchen, guest bedroom, and an outdoor sit-out that constitutes in the making of the elevation. The three bedrooms and the walk-in wardrobes with their attached bathrooms are on the floors above, with a separate family room on the first floor and a home theater with a home theater on the terrace on the second floor. The garage is kept hidden behind a fortress of concrete and the warmth of wood. Facing the fleet of cars, the home office is trimmed in Rosa Corsa, an ode to the clan's prancing horse. We'll just run through some of the interiors of this project. In the heart of Bangalore's action, the cacophony of the city life fades into a distant murmur. So this is one of the views from the terrace looking down onto the street, where you see all the gardens on the east. Next, we have the house of the floating walls. In an age of architecture where minimalism isn't unfounded, the house of the floating walls solidifies its place amongst the rest. Shapes, spaces, forms are playfully painted upon a blank canvas, breathing life into this building. At a first glance, the house doesn't impose itself upon the viewer. Although heavy forms fortress this house, there seems to be a subtle balladry in the colors and the very positioning of its architectural pieces. The floating walls are crafted using varying patterns of vertical strokes. They mimic and expose concrete while they are actually made out of thin-cut vitrified tiles with an intricate workmanship. These, along with the fabricated louvers of assorted metal profiles, add to the minimalist composition of arrangement. The use of white and grey are pivotal in bringing a sense of calm, which is imperative considering the bold and the mass of a heavy, jading outer skin. Certain pockets of the elevation act as interactive points with each other and the street ahead. We have that. The house is again built on a site measuring 40 feet by 60 feet. A 2 BHK residence for rental accommodates itself on the ground floor. So the ground floor is actually a 2 BHK rental that the client has designed in a way that he asked us to design another dog-leg staircase that would be accessed directly from the main road without anyone entering the car park and the home office area for himself. The still floor is shared by the units of amenities such as parking, servant quarters, and other services. The facade disguises a ground floor rental space, while the main house sits atop it. The entry to the rental residence is tucked behind these floating walls. A separate staircase and a lift connects the owners to the house above. The house above is a duplex with a living room adjacent to a double-height family room and an open dining kitchen and a master bedroom. The other 3 bedrooms are on the floors above. Here are some of the interior images. Here in the house of the floating walls, more or less is more. Back at our studio, we aim to integrate contemporary design forms with a few climate-responsive strategies. We indulge in celebrating our spaces with relevant colors, juxtaposed with a play of light and shadow that reflects the energy of an emerging young practice. Taking inspirations from Corbusier's quote, "Color is an incredibly effective triggering tool. Color is the factor of our existence." For our next 2 projects, we took liberties of overdosing the architecture with colors. Here are two pre-primary school buildings located at Gokak and Nippani. The KLE Sanskriti Pre-Primary School at Gokak. Sanskriti School is an exclusive pre-primary school for an already existing school campus at Gokak. The planning is directed by considering the psychological and physical needs of kindergarten kids who have tendencies of exploring spaces that have exciting avenues and colorful vistas with minimum boundaries. Their view of the outside world repeatedly framed with circular windows. A triangular shaped piece of land sandwiched between an existing school building on the north, a set of playgrounds on the east and west, and the campus property edge on the south was identified as the location of the new pre-primary school building. This new building would eventually craft the elevation of the entire campus as it stands in the foreground of the existing buildings, creating an avant-garde image for a school premises in a city, Gokak. A semi-underground floor holds a large gathering space used as a dining hall. A kitchen and a store over here, and a large hand wash area is also a part of this floor. The ground floor accommodates the center head, 3 nursery classrooms on the north, 4 LKG classrooms on the north and the northwest, and an activity room on the south are a part of the first floor. Subsequently 4 UKG classrooms and activity rooms on the south, but the classrooms are still positioned on the north, are a part of the second floor. A vertical shaft with separate toilets for girls and boys runs through all the floors of the building. For a pre-primary school, interesting attempts have been made through architectural methodologies to support various programs, such as formal education, cultural events, and sports activities through all the 4 levels of the built environment. Each of the above-mentioned activities has designated areas and is overlooked by each other through double-height courts, corridors, and window openings. Certain climatic conditions that play a key role for this building in Gokak, being a warm and arid city, the north, northeast, and northwest sites have been chosen to accommodate all the classrooms, such that its openings are free from the harsh glare. All the activity spaces, the corridors, staircases, the admin room, the staff room, the activity rooms are all placed on the south with the brise soleils that buffer the vehicular traffic and the summer heat. A triple height court that is formed by the crossing of these spaces generates an effective stack effect that helps cool the temperatures, reducing the need of artificial cooling. The plinth level of the school is contoured according to the site context. A direct entry from the south is the primary entrance to the atrium and the basement below. An amphitheater on the east facing the playground acts as another stairway entry leading upwards. A ramp running parallel to this assists the disabled. The architectural language of openness, continuity, security, vibrancy, and unity is choreographed throughout by the positioning of courtyards, classrooms, double-height spaces, which connect the students across all grades. The circular windows and the colorful brise soleils in shades of yellow are a metaphor to the childlike and energetic nature of the kindergarten kids. This celebration of architectural features runs in and out of the building, framing the indoors and outdoors through these fancy fenestrations. The massing of the built form is blossomed by stacking rows of classrooms within the 3 sides of the plot. This is a model that we completed after the design was approved for construction.
Action.
With a rhythmic twist and turn of these blocks, a volume of cubes jutting out at perpendicular and angular degrees assists in creating a simple yet powerful architectural volume. Next, we have the Nippani school. This is also a pre-primary school. A square with a triangular top hat does make a home. A similar approach has been taken in sketching this school. Built like a toy house, the massing has been designed with certain innocence in its rather rudimentary shapes. Forms of playful construction in projected cantilevers makes the elevation of the school block. A dual entrance on the south. Over here. There's one here and there's another one there. Allows for the movement of the usual traffic, while a sloped entrance leads directly into the playgroup area. Both accesses are monitored by the centrally positioned principal's cabin. Each floor hosts 3 classrooms, an activity room, and an his and her washroom. The nursery activity room is fitted with a floor-to-ceiling window casement to maximize the natural illumination of the volume. A shaded court across this space encourages learning amidst nature. Over here. Additional play areas on each floor ensures that students are constantly engaging with their cognition, while also continuously developing physical, emotional, and social well-being. A space designed by the drive of climate responsiveness is again a very essential criteria, made possible with architecture responsive to stack effects, classrooms oriented to north light and cross ventilation, and spaces that impart an atmosphere of learning, reflection, and sensitivity. This project is under construction. These are the recent site images. There's an existing pre-primary school opposite to this site, so the kids kind of see their school getting completed. This is a render of the final outcome. The school block is shaded in tones of white, cheddar, and deep can. Designed with care, Sanskriti's architecture embraces a playful ambience that sparks joy and ignites curiosity in every child. We recently completed an interior project for a saloon and a spa back in Belgaum. We call it Mirror, Mirror, Not on the Wall. Deepak's, a unisex salon, needed a space that would blend in both feminine and masculine notions of form, material, and mood. One enters the parlor through a statement door, welcomed by a reception area. This space overlooks the working area, and the two seamlessly flow into each other. The reception area is confronted with customized loungers and chairs that complement the shapes and shades of the entire design. The hand-painted wall art is an abstraction of human body parts that metaphorically celebrate the beautification of the human body, apt for a salon. So these are the details. This is a detailed drawing of all that went into making all the furniture of this interior design project. So on the inner core, we have a plywood, which is faced with a vitrified Satvario tile. Certain places we have MDF that is finished with an arched concrete of Asian. And we also have some bronze gold paint. We have fabrics for the lampshades. This is incomplete. This is the image of the completed project. All the art that you see that is painted on the walls were painted by the interns at our office. The arrangement of circular mirrors throughout this space creates dramatic reflections of the interiors. People and spaces are framed into the mirrors randomly, creating abstract scenes, giving the space more avenues than it has. A bold and beautiful setting of colors and materials is thoughtfully played throughout the interiors, the furniture, the upholstery, and the softscape with planters. With black-bodied vitrified tiles having strokes of gold and grey juxtaposed with fluted concrete panels and jade green walls. Embellished with gold-rimmed circular mirrors, bespoke wall art, and designer lampshades. This salon has complemented the stature of the 20-year-old establishment of Deepak's Salon, shaping it further to ornament itself for an upmarket luxury salon brand in a Tier 2 city, Belgaum. Back at our studio, we have a few charity projects that we are involved with. We have one of them that we are presenting here. It is the Muni Vihar. The Muni Vihar project is a resting place for Jain ascetics, Jain monks and nuns, and pilgrims who have chosen to walk this path. Jain monks firmly believe in non-violence and minimalism, with an emphasis on self-discipline, meditation, and ascetic life, which have been the guiding principles for the design of this project. Here is a model of this project. The planning is conceptualized over the shape of an ancient Jain symbol, the swastika. With basic principles of Vastu Shastra and with multiple courtyards curated for teaching religious, cultural, and social gatherings, it incorporates an open planning philosophy catering to multitudes of spatial usage. This project is just in its final completion stage, and it's opening the next month. The project is charity in nature, which began with no funds. With a proposed design and a group of devoted committee members, the construction developed in parts over 3 years, as donations met. The project is now in its last leg of completion, but it has been in use for religious teachings for students of an adjacent Jain school. We happened to visit this project last week, and there are a few images that we shot while the students are using these spaces for their morning pathshalas. In a constantly evolving field such as architecture, it is challenging to pick a design language that defines our practice. But we rather look onward to formulating our designs that would eventually create a niche for itself with an ever-evolving creative ethos. We are just one among many young practices in the country, and I feel immense gratitude and faith that Girish sir and the team at Road have shown in having us for such a special event. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Shreyas. That was an amazing presentation.